Today we're going to return to our flower motifs, and we're going to work 3 more rounds, with the third round being a joining round. So we're aiming to link 2 of our flower motifs together so they're joined like this. So we're going to be working with pairs of flowers. So the last thing that you did on your flower motifs was you worked a couple of rounds in your darker background colours. So today we're going to pick up one of those colours. So ideally we would have continued with this second background colour. So what we're going to do today is we're going to rejoin this colour. So it does mean that you're likely to have a couple of extra ends to sew in, but well, you've got so many. So we're going to start with, for me it's Carbon. So I've got 2 dark background colours here. I've got Seafarer and Carbon. So that's what I would be joining. And I'm going to use this sample to continue with today. So it means that I'm going to be picking up the same colour. And I'm going to join into any double crochet with a slip stitch. So we're working right into the stitch now. So I've joined my colour, but if you're continuing from the previous round, then that would be your slip stitch join. So you're completing the previous round with a slip stitch. Now you're ready to start this round. So we're going to work 4 slip stitches, and 5 chains. We're going to miss 4 DCs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll slip into the 5th one. Now we want to work these slip stitches quite loosely. We don't want to work them too tight or they're going to distort the edge of your motif. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slip stitches, 5 chains, and again don't work those chains too tightly. We're going to miss 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and work 5 slip stitches, and we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm just coming up to the end of that round. I've done my 5 chain stitches and I'm going to finish in the same place as I started. So I'm going to work a slip stitch into here. Cut your thread and just finish that round. Again, using any method you prefer. So that should give me 8 of these chain spaces ready to work my petals into in my next round. So if you're following my colour scheme, then I would be using bottle green for the next 2 rounds. So as the design's progressing, I can see that I'm going to need a fair bit of this colour. So I'm estimating now about 4 balls of this colour, so that's about 200 grams. But that is a guess at this stage. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a more accurate figure in the coming weeks. But yeah, I would certainly allow 4 balls for that colour. So we're going to join our next colour into our slip stitches. Now technically I think this is a spike stitch because we're going to join into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to join into our 3rd slip stitch, but we're not actually going to join into the stitch. If we were going to do it into the slip stitch, it would just be here, picking up those 2 threads, but actually that's quite tricky to do, so we're going to go a bit deeper than that. So technically we're going into one of these DCs below, so I think that that's probably a spike stitch, so that's what I'm going to call it. So we're going to start in there with a DC, and we're going to work 10 trebles into our chain space. And then a spike stitch into our 3rd chain, into our 3rd slip stitch, and then we've got 10 trebles into our next 5 chain space. And then a DC into the 3rd slip stitch. So that's going to give us 8 petals and a DC spike in between. So we'll continue like that for the rest of the round. So on this 3rd round, we're going to be working in the same colour. We're going to continue with this colour. And we're working spike stitches again. So here, where we've got these DCs, we're going to be working 2 DC spike stitches there. And we're going to be working into each of these trebles. We're going to work right into the stitch, not into the back of the stitch. And we're going to put a couple of increases in there as well. So when you finished your last petal on this round, we're going to go right in here at the base of this DC, and we're going to do 2 spike stitches. And now we're working into each of these trebles. So we've got 3 DCs, and then an increase. 2 DCs, increase, 3 DCs, and 2 spikes. We'll start the next petal. So you're working in pairs now. So you're going to work 1 complete flower motif. So we'll complete this round, and then when you work your 2nd flower motif on the final round, you'll be joining to this one. Okay, so you can always work 1 complete one. And then when you're working on your 2nd one, you're joining it. So we're going to continue working into the trebles. We've got a decrease, 3 DCs, and 2 spike stitches. So we can just repeat that all the way around until we get to the end of the round, and then we can just join with a slip stitch into our first DC spike. So that should be fairly straightforward, and then in the next video I'll show you how to link your 2 flower motifs together.